Hello and welcome to the second episode of Follow the White Rabbit. Let's see where this rabbit hole goes. I cannot describe myself as a bookworm. Absolutely not. If you look in my library, it's all fairly academic stuff or has a spiritual bent. But that's just who I am. I very rarely read novels. However, in the very first book club of 2023 and the first book club of this channel, this podcast, we are going to talk about a beautiful book written by my friend Kristin Koslowski, and it's called Like a Compass in Her Bones. And Kristin and I go back to last year when I was learning to write with Hay House, and we did a 5-day course, which I truly recommend, to actually support me in my journey to write my very first book. And they were amazing. I have every praise for Hay House for what they did for me. And also, of course, meeting with the majority of the people here of books that I've purchased. So I will show you a close-up later, a little more about that. But later on today, and Kristin lives in Midwest United States, I think in the Chicago area, that sort of area, forgive me if I'm wrong. And she is just a phenomenal author. She writes something called flash fiction, which I hope we'll talk a little bit about later on. But flash fiction is when you condense your words into the tiniest amount you can. And normally a whole story that she writes is probably about 1,000 words. But wow, every word is powerful. And although her book is classified as a novelette, which is a small story, I presume, then this has got all of the hallmarks of flash fiction. That means that there's no waste of words. And I think we do waste our words. I certainly do. I can ramble for hours, and really it's about when you're trying to say something, really say it in a succinct and powerful way. And Kristin has got this amazing gift. So I'm truly looking forward to introducing you to her. And hopefully she'll let me read a couple of sentences from this book, which I can highly recommend. Some of the people behind here, well, in fact, all of the people behind here will join me in the book club this year. And it is my hope that you will join me as well. As part of the book club, we are going to ask each person who comes on, to each author, to give us a sentence that we can then use for ourselves. And the plan is that you, and this is something that Hay House taught me, is that you write a sentence. We'll give you one. You don't have to use it. You can use any. And when you've written that sentence, you then start writing. You set your timer for 7 minutes and you start writing as if that was the beginning of your story. If you come to a hiatus or a writer's block, then what you do is write the sentence again and then carry on. It's not that the words there are for you to read or promote or do anything with, although they might well be worthy. It's the idea is that you can get that writing rhythm. And it certainly has helped me over the last year as I've been writing my books. And there's something very magical about books, isn't there? And I know that we have Kindle and other electronic books, and there's nothing wrong with them. They're fine. But for me, I love the feel of books. And I, along with many of these authors, self-publish. Kristin's book was actually published by a publishing house, a small publishing house. And the KDP, which is the Kindle Direct Publishing, is so easy these days. It used to be so hard to publish your own book. It was like a nightmare, but now with technology, with AI, etc., it is much, much easier. So I also have, and you can ask for this, on one of my other channels, I have Michael Alperstein, who is an amazing author. His book is not here because I gave it away, as I do regularly. And he and I put on a couple of series about how to publish through the KDP. You can just ask and we will send it to you. It's not public yet because we probably want to tweak it a little bit, but Michael and I will teach you how to create with KDP and also Kindle Create. You can easily go onto YouTube, and there are many podcasters who do teach you all of this stuff. I think what we offer is something slightly different, maybe a little bit more rambling, I don't know, but we can help you as people who've done it and teach you. Certainly my Kindle Create is teaching you the mistakes I made and how to avoid them. But I did it. And yeah, I'm happy with my book. There are a few mistakes in it, and I know that. I'm absolutely shoddy at punctuation. And of course, I write in British English rather than American English, so many of my words would seem to be misspelt, depending on which area you live. But these things are less important than they used to be. So the book club, a great place for you to be, to meet some authors. Also, if you want to join in to write your comments, whatever you do with these short sentences, put them below in the comments. We'd love to see those. That'd be amazing to see them. Please like and subscribe. If you subscribe to this channel, you will just get a notification in your YouTube. You don't get emails or anything like that. It doesn't disturb you. All it does, on the left-hand side of your page, it will show you when your subscribed channels have put a new video up. It's just a little blue dot. So it's not like you're bombarded with anything. I subscribe to loads of channels. If somebody gives me some exciting information and I like them and I feel warm around them, then I subscribe to them and I like. I also comment whenever I can, because liking, subscribing and commenting raises the profile of the channel. So, for example, I'm going to put, every time I create a video, I will identify one of the channels that I follow and the reason I do it. And then maybe you can go and check them out and subscribe and like and follow. And that way, we just build the world a little better. It's important to build the world, isn't it? We're in this together. So I love to collaborate. And I want to share something with you. Bear with me. This first book is called I Am. It is a tiny, tiny book. It costs a tiny, tiny amount of money. And it's a part of the Pocketbook series. The Pocketbook series is a Mind, Body, Spirit series that is going to cover a multitude of subjects, and it's written by multiple authors. And each author will celebrate and promote the whole series. It costs nothing apart from the ISBN, which is this number here, and you do have to buy that. So if you would like to join the Pocketbook series, have a word with me, pop your comment below, email me at smile@susiejones.com, and we can have a chat and I will send you some information about the Pocketbook series. The plan is that all of the authors in the series will join together with me in a summit next year, so we can bring all of our wisdom and wonder to the world. Because like this channel, this podcast is about bringing an oasis of calm and interesting things to people. We also want to bring healing and wholeness and connection. So the summit will hopefully do that, and we're excited about it. So get your pen out, start writing. There's a massive movement towards autobiographies, memoirs, and people telling their story of healing. and their story of stress and strain and how they manage to heal from it. So getting away from the dramas, the clickbait, the powerful stories out there of negative stuff, and it's almost like the worst it can get is the worst it can get, and if we can't get it worse, we'll make it up. Well, we need more of these sort of books that will brighten your life. So yes, I'm seeing Kristin this afternoon and we'll be on screen together, and I'm really excited about that. And then at the end of the channel, the podcast today, we will have a small meditation. I'm not sure what it will be. It will be just an inspired meditation. So look forward to seeing you in a moment. I'm just going to put a little bit of Oreo on while I prepare to chat to Kristin. Take care. Hello and welcome to the book club. And we've got Kristin with us. I always do that, don't I? Get your name mixed up. Forgive me. I know it's Kristin and it's absolutely fine. And as you will know from the video that I showed you earlier on, we're talking about Kristin's new novelette called Like a Compass in Her Bones. I can honestly say that this took me 2 readings. I couldn't sleep because I wanted to read the book. And it's just magnificent, Kristin. I really absolutely adore this. When did you start writing this wonderful piece?
Thank you. Thank you. I started writing it in probably it was January of 2022. And I wrote it in January and February. That was my heavy time for writing a bulk of it.
Yeah, it's just fantastic. And tell me, can I read a few bits out? Is that all right? Okay. The first thing that I want to ask you really is the title. Did you dream it up, or because it's embedded in the book? And when I got to it, it says, the knowing deep inside of her, like a compass in her bones, that she follows without thinking. And I thought, there's the title. Which came first, chicken or egg?
No, the words came first. Yeah,
Right.
the words came first. Yeah, and when I needed to title the piece, I went hunting. I went hunting through the book for what I thought would represent what it was about as a whole. And for me at the time writing it, it was very much a story about Emily and her intuition and how that's a part of her, even if she's not fully embracing it at the beginning of the story. And so I wanted a title that sort of represented that piece of her, that lost piece of her. And so I went hunting through the book for what I thought would work.
And I mean, however do you dream up sort of words like that, like a compass in her bones? I mean, it's just magical. I love it so much.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, I don't know where the words come from. You just go into meditation, you say, I'm writing today, give me what I need to do. And then you start putting your words on paper and you start organizing it and you start doing your outlining, and you just let it flow. And then you go back and fix it all up.
Do you want to just give our people that are watching here a little sort of précis of the book, just what it's basically about, without giving too much away?
Sure, sure. The story is about Emily, who is a highly intuitive girl. She grew up in a very free-loving environment. She kind of traveled the world with her mom, or not the world, but the nation with her mom. They bopped around from place to place. They never really called any place home. And she grew up and wanted something completely different. So she married a man who is deeply, deeply rooted in the south side of Chicago. He's lived there. Generations of his family have sort of lived there. And she sees it as a balance to her childhood. And she's trying to kind of live a normal life, as she would describe it, right? She's trying to figure out how to be normal because she's got a pretty big secret. When she goes to sleep, she helps cross spirits over to the other side. And nobody knows this. She's never told anybody this. This is something she keeps just for herself. But one day she goes into what she calls the tunnel of souls to help souls cross over. And she meets the soul of her father, who she never met and was actually told passed long ago, although she confronts a man who clearly did not pass long ago. So there's some secrets there to uncover. And she gets a chance to speak with him and decide, what is truly the meaning of home, right? So, and that's basically what it's about.
It is. And I think that true meaning of home is really important because it's here, isn't it? It's geography. And a lot of people, sort of define the house that they're living as home. Well, this house we're living in is home. And the geography is almost irrelevant in some ways. But what I found interesting was that she'd married a man who had what she wanted. And that was that security, that bond of connection with a landmass and a community. So I can understand how she chose to keep that secret and also sort out something she wanted herself. So can I read a couple of bits out of your book for everybody here?
Yes.
They just blew me away. And it was, I have to say, on every page, there is something that blew me away. Okay, I contextualize it a little. So she's in the tunnel and she's trying to get out and she's with Carl. Emily lifts boulders the size of spare tires, the size of loneliness, and the size of despair. Carl lifts boulders the size of cast iron pots, the size of regret. And Johnny, her son, can barely lift anything. Youth makes him strong in compassion and courage, but not much else. Do you know that still it makes me get goosebumps because in life we're constantly lifting boulders, aren't we?
Absolutely.
And
it's really a metaphor for all that, right?
It really is. It's just amazing language, so succinct, it's so powerful. It really touched me. And then I'm jumping on a little bit. And next to her, Carl leans on a boulder the size of everything Emily doesn't have time to ask him. Wow.
And that's the heartbreaking truth of the novelette, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And life in general.
Yeah.
How much time do we get with the people that we care about, or the people who made us, the people we make? How much time do you really get, and where do you make it count, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. So, it's just the most beautiful, beautiful book, and I cannot not recommend it. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, Kristin?
Sure.
Yeah.
I've been writing my whole life. I published for the first time, I want to say I was 11, and I published a poem. And then I published a little bit throughout my life, kept writing, and then I turned away from writing for a long time and came back to it in 2017. I had kids. I was in the process then of raising kids, and you're trying to find that balance, right, between being the wife, the mother, the worker, and being yourself. So I came back in 2017 with flash fiction, which, if you don't know, that is very short fiction. Yeah, it's 1,000 words or less, so 3-page or less. So you're fitting a whole story in a very succinct space. So I did that from 2017 till 2022 for sure. I haven't written anything in 2023 for flash fiction, but through 2022. And in 2022, it was my mission to write something longer, to start lengthening out. My kids are getting a little bit older. I get a little bit more time for writing. That balance is swaying a little bit again. So yeah, then I went on to the novelette, but I've been a flash fiction writer mostly since 2017. So this is my first big foray into longer works. Yeah. At 80 pages, people. That's my big long work, 80 pages.
And I have to say, Kristin and everybody else, it was Kristin who helped me with flash fiction, and because I'd never heard of it. And I think I'm writing a little story for my grandchildren, really, about their history. And I started to write a small piece about my dad's home called Holly Cottage. It turned out I intended to make it about 1,000 words, but I just reduced and reduced, and it ended up to be about 70 words. And I thought, it's almost sort of a haiku. It's almost prose. It's a really interesting model.
Yeah.
The reason I asked you a little bit about you was because when I was reading about Emily and Johnny, I was wondering if you were in there in any way, shape, or form.
Well,
Are you Emily?
I think most writers will tell you that you get the advice over and over again to write what you know, to always start there. And so while Emily is entirely fictional, while there's a lot about her that has nothing to do with me, we do share similar traits a little bit. Our wild hair, that's a trait. I can't imagine writing anyone with straight hair. I have no idea what it would be like to wake up every morning and not have a mess on your head. So we're similar in some ways, and like Emily, I do cross souls over to the other side. I do help with that, and I did start in my sleep. So the Tunnel of Souls was actually a place that I would go to when I got into those deeper levels of sleep. And I do have children, and there was a time when I was doing this work and my kids were not sleeping well through the night, and they would often get up to come into my room and stuff. And so there was that balance of, is this work I want to do during this stage of my kid's life? Just like Emily thinks about that. How do I balance this out, sort of thing. So yeah, there is a little bit of that in there.
I sort of thought that I was reading, I thought, how much of Emily is Kristin? And oh, that's absolutely fantastic. So as a book club, I mean, I highly recommend you purchasing it. It's inexpensive. It's a quick read, but it's powerful. I'll put the link for the book in, but it'll be .co.uk. So if you're .com, just put the title in and you'll get it. I presume it's across all territories, yeah? Australia and everywhere else as well.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, excellent. And I can't but recommend it. And it'd be really nice if we were actually a proper book club and we were all reading it and discussing it. But we're not. It's an electronic one, and it's absolutely wonderful. One thing I offered, and I've not asked you, so you aren't prepared, so everybody knows that. One thing I was going to say to everybody is, when I was learning with Hay House how to write, we were told to write a line of something, an inspiring line. And it might be the way the light is playing through the trees or something. It could be as simple as that. And then set your timer for 7 minutes and then start writing about it. And just let the words just flow. And it can be nonsense. It doesn't have to ever be read by anybody. And if your timer hasn't gone off and you've run out of steam, rewrite the sentence again, and then start writing again until your timer goes off. And that was one of the most incredible disciplines that really aided me in the writing of my first book, and to get me out of any what do you call it, writer's block. So for those who don't write and for those who do, have you got a sentence I can write in the bottom? And if you can't think of one now, don't worry, I'll add it later. Could you suggest something that people can have a go at writing?
Okay, so a sentence that people could write and then kind of continue on with.
Yeah.
Something that might help them. Sure. Okay. Yeah, I could definitely, we got something right here. Let's see.
Let me do that on a new sheet. I'm just going to find a sheet of paper. There we go.
Let's see. Even though the cold was dissipating, I couldn't help but think of my father.
Even though the cold was dissipating, I couldn't help but think of my father. Is that right?
Yes.
Excellent. So set your timers. You don't need to do it now, although if you've got time, people who are watching, get a piece of paper and a pen. And Oreo's come to say hello. And I'll write it down on the show notes here. Even though the cold was dissipating, I couldn't help but think of my father. And then just carry on writing for 7 minutes. And then when you get used to that sort of feeling, you can start to almost spirit write, get inside out onto the page. And it certainly was something that was really valuable to me as a writer when I was learning, and I'm still learning. So have a go at it. And then if you'd like to drop your comments below the video, that'd be fantastic. Yeah, superb.
Oh,
Kristin,
yeah, it would be super fun to see what people came up with too.
wouldn't it? Yeah, absolutely. And
Absolutely.
I know when we do haikus on Bridget's Day, and I can't think what that is. What is that?
I feel like it was recently, right?
It was recently. It was the solstice.
February, yeah, just February 21st or somewhere around there.
Yeah, somewhere like that. And the Green Spirit that we used to attend and we weren't able to for the last couple of years, they always do haikus. And that is a really exciting way, just in a pair, just writing a haiku. I'll write down what a haiku is down below. And that, again, is a way of finding words and bringing them out. How do you create these imaginary novels? I mean, where is it all? Is it just literally from your meditation, like you said, or do you notice things in the environment, or what inspires you?
Oh, it comes in a million different ways. A lot of times it has to do with, if I'm out walking, or I like to paddleboard. So when the weather's nice, so I'll be paddleboarding, walking the dog, things like this. And you get these, for me, it almost starts as like a concept. I want to write something about family. I want to write something about a rooted community, things like that. And then, of course, you have to get character, right? So for me, I'm just out kind of walking, living my daily life, and I think, oh, that would be interesting to write about. Sort of spirit gives me these little, I'm like a mail slot sometimes. They toss a little postcard in. I'm like, oh yeah, it would be interesting to write about intuition. It would be interesting to write about. And then I think, okay, well, how would that apply to a person, right? Things like that. Once in a while, like a compass for a bones, or like a compass in her bones, that came from, I had written a flash fiction piece that was based on, the kids and I go to Lake Michigan. We're near the Great Lakes, so we'll go there to collect rocks and rock hunt, and that's sort of our thing. And I wrote a flash fiction piece about a little girl who was building a rainbow bridge out of rocks on the shore. So that kind of came from our own experience, something that we like to do, right? So there's a lot of different ways. But when I'm outside, when I'm doing my thing, yeah, just this little mail slot. Oh, and I just like a spark hits. It's just like, that would be interesting to write about. Collecting rocks, that would be interesting to write about, or things like that. And then it just kind of, everything kind of spirals from there. As a writer, you always say, okay, what What if it was a girl? What if it was a man? What if, what if?
Oh, I love yourself. So what are we going to look forward to next? What's the next thing off your pen that we're going to see?
I have a couple things in the works. I'm writing a pocketbook series guide for you, Susie, in your publishing house. It's loosely called at the moment Spirit Animal Healing, and it'll have a couple dozen animals in there. I go into meditation and ask spirit animals to come who would like to participate in this book. I work with spirit animals very readily in my Reiki practice.
Sorry,
So
my cat was, beg your pardon, my cat was crying at me.
everyone needs your attention today, Susie.
Sorry, carry on.
That's okay. So I work with spirit animals in my Reiki sessions a lot. And so, yeah, I decided spirit I thought maybe I would look for patterns in spirit animal activity, but spirit was just like, no, go into meditation, ask them to come to you, ask them for a message. So we're seeing which animals want to participate in this project with us. So that's in the works. And I'm also at the same time writing another fiction piece. So this is kind of a mystery novel. So not quite literary fiction, like A Compass in Her Bones, but a little bit more genre fiction. It's a mystery, but again, it features a highly intuitive woman who encounters the spirit of her childhood best friend, and her best friend had went missing when they were young, and her best friend comes to her and says, "Now's the time. You have to come find me. Come find out what happened to me. It's time." And so this 40-year-old woman who has no experience searching for people, she's not a detective, she's just a highly intuitive person, and she sets upon trying to find out what happened to her childhood best friend to kind of give her soul some peace. So
that sounds wonderful. So in a sense, got some similarities to working with people who've passed over.
absolutely. Absolutely.
This has been really interesting, and I hope that our watchers are intrigued by your book and intrigued by your work, Kristin. And I do know that you often pop over to the Circle of Light so people can meet you in there if they want to. And we've got our next one. I think it's the 13th of March. I can't remember. Let me just check. I don't know if you're able to get there, but yes, it is. It's the 13th of March. And if you want to know anything about it, ask below and I'll send you the message. And then they can meet you if you're able to make it, but you'll make one if you can't make that one. So yeah, and yeah, brilliant. Thank you so much. It's been fascinating to talk to you.
No, thank you. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, Susie. Always. I love Circle of Light, and I love what you're doing here. So
brilliant. Thank you, my lovely. I'm going to stop the recording now. Okay. Wasn't that absolutely amazing? I love Kristin. She's an amazing woman and a fabulous mum as well. You can tell, can't you? My world has really opened up because of books and writing books, and I want to say thank you to everybody who has been part of that journey with me. And I hope to get your books in my book club and you on screen and sharing your joy and your love for the written word and all that you have to share. Whatever genre, it doesn't matter to me. It's just so exciting to meet these amazing people. We are going to close now. There will be a short meditation right at the end. And if that's not your thing, that's fine. But if you want to, it's really non-religious. It's mostly around the breath work and about being calm. That's all. So have a go if you want. And if you don't, then say goodbye here. If you're able to, I would so appreciate you liking, subscribing. And if you'd like to comment to tell me whether or not I'm getting this right or if there's something different that you want, please let me know. I so look forward to hearing your thoughts about the podcast and about the books and about anything really. Let us know. Let's make this a community. And if you want to pop over to Patreon and have a look, I actually have opened up the tiers now, so have a look and see what you think without any pressure whatsoever. I'm going to go now and join in a meditation with you. Thank you so much. And where you are right now, just sit quietly. Lift your chin, straighten your spine. Close your eyes, and for 1 minute, we're going to just focus on our breath. Notice your breath as it rises and falls in your chest. Notice the calm that you can produce through your breath by slowing it down. And it might help to count. Counting your breaths in and out. And the more you count, the slower you can go. Breathing in and out. And this breathing calmly will guide you into the most amazing calm. And you carry that oasis of calm with you throughout your life. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.